Hey guys, my name is Chris McAndrew. I'm an administrator for the Brantley Gilbert Facebook fan page known as BG Nation. We can be found at facebook.com/groups/BG Nation. I want to welcome you all to this discussion with BJ Golden, who is a member of the Brantley Gilbert Band. BJ plays acoustic and electric guitar for the band, as well as a bunch of other instruments, including mandolin, organ, piano, dobro, and he sings harmony vocals. BJ, first off, on behalf of myself and all the members at BG Nation, I want to thank you for agreeing to take time out of your brief break from touring to do this interview for us. We're all super excited about it, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I have several questions to ask from members of the BG Nation. First, I want to get to know you a little bit. Thought we'd start way back at the beginning or close to it of your life. I know you started playing around 7 years old. Now, when I was 7 years old, I don't remember thinking much about what I planned to be when I grew up. So my question is, did this just come naturally for you? Like you tell your parents you wanted to learn how to play? Or was there someone in your life pushing you to give it a try?
No, I mean, my parents they always have been and still to this day are extremely supportive of whatever it is that I was passionate about. And from an early age, I mean, my mom just recently has been showing me some pictures of me, you know, as a real young guy, 3-4 years old, and I'm walking around the house and listening to a Walkman cassette player and headphones, and I loved music from a very early age, and they could tell that I had a extreme interest in it, and so they encouraged me to just listen and just kind of, I don't know, just enjoy music for a long time. And then whenever I was about 7, I think they decided and saw that I had a lot of interest, and so they put me in piano lessons.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, I really enjoyed learning how to play an instrument, but I don't think the teacher and I really quite saw eye to eye as me being a young man and just kind of wanting to play music and maybe not necessarily wanting to do all the things the teacher wanted me to. So I played piano for about 2 years, and then at some point I just kind of got frustrated with it. And that was the point around 9 that my parents got me a guitar for Christmas, and they got me a little VHS lesson thing. And I used to just sit in my room and learn chords and the songs that were on that. And not long after, they sought out some lessons for me, and it was just from then on, I'd go to the lesson and come home and practice, and it was just something that grabbed a hold of me at an early age, and it was a source of great passion and enjoyment for me.
Right. Now, you graduated high school, and then from what I've read, you moved to Nashville at 19 years old. Did you move there specifically to pursue a career in country music?
You know, growing up, I was into so many different things. And music was something that I really enjoyed, but it was always just a hobby. I never really thought that I would be a professional musician. At one point in my teenage years, I was really into racing motocross, so kind of a polar opposite of being a musician. I was into just going fast and adrenaline, and I really enjoyed that. I spent a lot of time out in the woods with my buddies, riding 4-wheelers and dirt bikes, and then after getting into racing, I had some nasty spills and broken bones, and that was kind of the turning point where I was like, yeah, maybe I should do something a little less
a little
intense.
Safer. Yes.
Exactly. So I kind of I went back to music, and I had a rock band in high school, and we did okay for our little being 16 years old and having a project, and we were playing around town at a lot of different clubs, and that was my first kind of eye-opening experience. And wow, this is what music can be, and this is absolutely incredible. And when I moved to Nashville, I did 1 year of kind of community college in Texas before I moved out here, and it was at that point I kind of started studying audio engineering, and I thought that I was going to be a recording engineer and work in recording studios. Right. And I was doing work with bands running live sound, and so when I moved to Nashville, I found MTSU because of their mass communications program, and I went there initially to study recording arts, and then I traveled for about a year with a band, Low Cash Cowboys, who's now Low Cash.
Oh, wow.
And I was with them in 2005 and 6, and that was kind of during their days when they were really getting going, and it was a great experience for me, but it it was at that point, after doing that for a year, that I kind of realized that I didn't have any of the knowledge that I felt was necessary to have a career in music. I didn't know any theory. I was just kind of an ear player, and I didn't want to pursue a career without having a little more proper training. So it was at that point I kind of quit what I was doing and re-enrolled at MTSU as a music major, and then I went, it was about 6 consecutive years, doing an undergrad and graduate degree in classical guitar performance.
Now, why classical guitar?
For me, it was the ultimate way to learn the instrument. I mean, there's no other style of music that presents more technique and the music to me is just really beautiful, and it satisfies something deep in my soul. And so I actually, before I moved to Tennessee, I did some guitar competition at Guitar Center, and I did okay. But the guy that won, he blew me out of the water. He was a flamenco. He was a flamenco player, and I had never seen somebody play that way and use both of their right and their left hand without a pick. It was mind blowing to me. So I met him and started studying with him, and I still keep in contact with him. His name's Jeremy Garcia, and he's got a really cool flamenco project in Houston. And so it's every time I'm home, I still kind of keep up with him and go listen to him. But that was kind of, I saw what the technique could do on the instrument, and then for me, it was just kind of getting better at that. And so that's kind of what really drove me to the classical side.
Okay. Now, you got your Master of Music degree, from what I've read, 2012. You moved back to Nashville, a lot more training under your belt now. So tell us how things kind of went from there.
Well, so when I got done with the master's degree, right after I graduated, I got a call from an old friend in Nashville, and he was working for Lyle Lovett as a monitor engineer, and they had a 3-month tour coming up, and they didn't have a guitar tech. And so kind of, throughout my life, I've really bounced around at a lot of different things. When I first moved to Nashville, I was doing stagehand work. So if anybody out there listening is unfamiliar with that, if you ever get to a show early, you'll see not only the crew that is touring, but there's always local people that show up, and they're your labor. They're the guys that are unloading the trucks and unloading the cases and moving everything. And so I was doing that for a good 5 or 6 years while going to school. And then at some point, one of my mentors is a great luthier. His name's Ed Beaver, and he kind of was pushing me to maybe look into that side. I was still kind of searching for what it was going to be that would be my career, or just different ways to be involved in the music industry. And so I went to Vermont Instruments, which was a luthier school, for about a month. And I built a classical guitar and kind of learned that side of it. And so anyway, that's just a little backstory. So when I got a call from my friend for the Lyle Lovett tour, they needed a guitar tech. And with my experience being around guitar shops and doing some minor repair and building work, it was enough that got me the gig. So I went out on tour with them, and about 6 weeks in, I was talking with Lyle, and he heard me playing some Bach preludes and really enjoyed what he heard, I guess. And that evening before he went on stage, he asked if I would be his house music for the rest of the tour. So it was a great honor for me to be able to play these real intimate theaters, opening for one of the, in my opinion, one of the best touring bands that's out on the road. And just getting to play, 20 minutes of solo guitar every night at these really cool venues. So that was a really great experience for me as a performer, and my first one out of school with a master's degree. And after that, I went back to Denver, and I was playing in wedding bands and doing wedding ceremonies and teaching. And I'm a big outdoors enthusiast, and so I was just living at 10,500 feet in the Rocky Mountains and skiing every day that I could, and
can't beat that.
Hiking. No, it was really incredible. It was a great time in my life.
All right, so tell us how you go from all that to Brantley Gilbert Band.
So there's a guy, our assistant tour manager is named Corey Robertson, and Corey and I were friends at MTSU. He was in a marching drum band, Mystique, which is a really well-known marching drum line, and they have won a lot of awards. And anyhow, we had some mutual friends and became acquaintances and friends during my days at MTSU. And Corey heard me playing, doing my classical stuff. But during that time, I was also playing in jazz groups, and I was still recording records and working on original projects, and even had a flamenco band, which was a great experience all in itself. But so he knew I played a lot of different instruments. And then I got a call. It was in February 2014, and he asked if I was available to come to Nashville for an audition. And I said, absolutely. He called me on a Wednesday. I hopped on a plane the very next day and had an audition Friday morning.
Wow.
And so I came to town, played acoustic electric guitar, and then piano and banjo, and sang a little bit, and then did well enough to make the second round of an audition a couple weeks later, and then they decided I was the guy that they wanted to be on the road. So it was a great honor. I've been so pleased with the whole experience, and packed up my stuff shortly after and moved back to Nashville.
Now, of course, I went to the Blackout Tour, and I'm sure many people listening did as well. Tell us what a day in your life was like as a member of the band during the tour.
Sure. So it's, I think a lot of folks think that it's really glamorous and things on the road. And don't get me wrong, we have a incredible career, and I think all of us are very fortunate and very blessed to do what it is that we do. But when you're out on a tour, you're traveling every night. You're never in one city for more than about 14, 15 hours. We usually arrive at somewhere between 5 and 7 in the morning, and then all of our crew guys get to work kind of unloading the trucks and setting up everything for the day. Everything from just the stage equipment to the audio, the video, the lighting, all of that goes up in one day and comes down after the show and then travels with us. So myself and Jess Franklin, our lead player, and Stephen Lewis, the bass player, the three of us are pretty avid golfers. So we like to get out and go play rounds of golf, and it's a great way for us to kind of kill some parts of the day. I mean, because otherwise you're sitting in the back of an arena or in a parking lot for sometimes 12, 14 hours, and it can be a long day if you wake up at 8 a.m. and you don't play a show till 9:15.
Right.
It's a lot of time to kill just in a parking lot. I used to say that it was, somebody could drive me around the city all night long in a circle and just take me to a different venue, and unless I actually got out, I wouldn't know whether I was in the same city or they could tell me I was somewhere else. You kind of used to seeing a tree and a trash can and a loading dock.
All right. Let me get to a few questions from some members of the BG Nation Facebook page.
Sure.
We got Brandy Nicole Ritchie from Lexington, Kentucky. Besides Red Rocks, what is another favorite venue?
Well, she hit the nail on the head there. Red Rocks is incredible. There is nothing quite like it, and it is certainly my favorite venue. One that I hope we get to play is the Gorge out on the West Coast, but we haven't played there yet. There's another one up in New Hampshire. I'd have to look at the name of. It's on Lake. It starts with a W, but I'm not going to try without reading where we were. But the venue is incredible. Everything around there is just beautiful. There's a big lake just kind of across the street. And what the venue has really done a great job in making kind of the backstage area something that there's something to do all day long. So I was just talking about how a lot of times there is nothing to do, and you're just kind of sitting around. But this place, they had bikes, they had basketball, they had all kinds of different things to keep you entertained, and there was hikes and trails. It was that was a really cool venue to play, and I heard about it going in that it was going to be that way.
Right.
So this year, I think, besides Red Rocks, that was the coolest one we did.
All right, we got Shane Jones from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Who were your favorite artists growing up?
Growing up, I listened to country radio. That was what my parents listened to, and my first concert that I ever saw live was Garth Brooks.
Wow,
that's
a good
so
one.
it was incredible. What a performer!
Mm-hmm.
And I had all of his records, and so I was listening. That's what I was listening to. I was listening to a lot of Garth Brooks and Clint Black, Clay Walker. A lot of just the country artists that came out in the 90s, and that's really kind of what I was listening to a lot of. And then somewhere around 14, I started really getting into Stevie Ray Vaughan. Being from Texas, listening to blues and Muddy Waters and those type of artists, Stevie was kind of a mind-boggling experience for me, seeing somebody so musical, but that also had so much technique. It was really great diving into his music.
All right, we got Casey Winger, Orlando, Florida. What is your favorite Brantley Gilbert song and why?
I guess you didn't specify that a song that we play, or just one of his that he's written.
Just one of his in general.
I think one of my favorite tunes that he's written is "Saving Amy." I think that is just a beautiful song. It's so well written. I wish that it would get a little more publicity or maybe airplay would be a better word choice. But it's so well written, and I think it could be a beautiful moment on stage. I hope one day that we're able to do that. Grown Ass Man was actually another really big favorite of mine.
Mm-hmm. How do y'all choose what songs you're going to play on any given night?
We usually set a set list of obviously we're going to play all the hits, and then we just kind of decide. We try and it's all about the flow. You need to have moments where the set list kind of brings the energy up, and other times it needs to be brought down a little bit. And a great example of that is like, especially on the Blackout tour, we did Grown Ass Man and then Them Boys, which was an old tune that Brantley wrote. That was another great song, and it was a chance for us to get really intimate with the audience. I was playing dobro, Stephen was on upright bass, Jess would go play piano. Jess, if some of the audience doesn't know, is an incredible musician who, hearing him play guitar just kind of scratches the surface of what he's capable of doing. He's an incredible musician, pianist, organist. I mean, he's a really top-notch musician. So for him to go over and play piano, that was just kind of a highlight. All of us got to kind of move around and do something different. But anyways, the show, the dynamic of the show would come down there. And then it was really cool to bring back in Outlaw Women after that. And that was a cover that Brantley used to do and really enjoyed. And so we brought that back. And that was just kind of our way to bring it down, let things mellow out for a minute, and then we'd rise back up. But then I think 2 songs afterwards, we were bringing it back down for One Hell of an Amen, which is really a pinnacle point in the show. It was a number one, but it had substance. There was a lot behind that song. So, and every night you can see out in the audience, it moves people. Emotionally, people are very attached to that song, and it hits a spot with a lot of folks, so it's always very touching to play that.
All right. Amanda Mangus, Simpsonville, South Carolina. We've already gotten some answers to this because I know you've said golf, but besides music, what do you enjoy to do in your off time?
I enjoy playing golf, but another thing that I'm really getting into now is I'm getting back into building guitars and doing woodworking. So cool. That's something that I'm trying to just do as I have the time. It allows me to listen to music, which is, while I'm kind of working with my hands, which is different than when I sit down to practice. A lot of times if I'm working on classical music or solo guitar music, it's just, I'm reading from a score and I've got a metronome and a pencil, and, it's very meticulous work. But then when I'm out in the shop, I'm able to just kind of turn on some nice tunes and really just listen to a variety of music and work with my hands, and that's something I really enjoy passing time with. Other than that, it's being outdoors as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. All right, got one from Sandy Calhoun, Hatboro, Pennsylvania. What's the best part of being in the Brantley Gilbert Band? What does he think sets the Brantley Gilbert Band apart from any other band out there?
I would say the best part of being in Brantley's band is the camaraderie that we have, not just in the band, but in the whole tour. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got a great organization of people that have been with Brantley. A lot of them have been with Brantley since he was just getting started. And so you've got veteran guys that have been around now for 9-10 years,
right.
As well as guys that are, may only have been on the tour for a year. So but regardless, one thing that we have out there is we've got this camaraderie, and we're brothers out on the road. We're all looking out for each other, and we have a good time. So, and not to mention, we get to play with some incredible musicians and see and do some really incredible things. So, that would certainly be, I think, my favorite parts of being in the band.
All right, speaking of sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Speaking of the guys in the band, we got a couple questions along that line with Crystal Darton. What's your funniest memory of being on stage with Brantley Gilbert and Sue Holbrook, Lawrenceville, Georgia? In the band's travels, you spend so much time together. Who is the jokester in the group? What's the best joke that was pulled on who, and where did it happen?
So I think I might be able to answer both of those questions with one. So we're all kind of joking around, but I think especially on stage, I'm the jokester in the group. I like to do what I can to make people laugh, and if I don't want to make people mess up, but if they were to happen to screw up for just a brief second,
it'd be all right.
Yeah, it gets a smile. Normally, it doesn't happen, but there was one night, and I don't remember where we were, and I don't even know why it hit me, but just we're about to kick off into a tune, and my beard has reached a length now that is it's getting pretty long. So one night, I don't know why, but I was like, I bet I could tuck my beard into my hat, and so I took my hat off, and I threw my beard up over my face and put my hat back on. And so it was like Cousin It. All you could see was hair. And so I turned and looked at Ben, and he was not expecting it. And he almost lost the count to the song and was laughing the whole time. And I got such a reaction from him that the next song I did it to Jess. And then Jess couldn't sing harmony for 2 or 3 songs because every time he tried, he'd start laughing. It was, and then of course, I didn't even think about the mood of the song that I was doing that in, and I think at the time we were playing You Don't Know Her Like I Do, and one of the camera guys saw me do it and threw it up on the video screen. It was just a brief second, but it was really funny.
Talking of the beard, we got a question about that. Jeanette Ford, Shelbyville, Kentucky. What are BJ's future plans for the beard? You've already reached ZZ Top length. What's the next goal? Or will we ever see BJ with a short beard or clean shaven?
That is a great question. At this point, it's kind of I feel like I kind of have to let it go until I'm ready to reach a stopping point. At this point, it's gotten so long. I may as well kind of see how long it gets, unless it just kind of reaches a point where it starts to look bad or just becomes a lot of problems with upkeep. But I'm expecting another year or 2 of growth out of it, and just kind of seeing where that goes. It's I didn't realize, honestly, that I had this capability. I was living in the mountains and growing a beard just to keep my face warm, and Brantley happened to like it, and so I let it grow, and I've been just as shocked as everybody else.
Let's see. Danielle Marie, Boca Raton, Florida. BJ, since you started with Brantley Gilbert in the band, how does it feel to be in the spotlight with your amazing talent?
It's incredible. Brantley is he's wonderful about letting everybody have their moment to kind of showcase what it is that they do. And I feel very fortunate that he gives me the opportunity to play a little bit of classical music every night, and I get to do that as kind of an interlude between songs. And when I first joined the band, I was doing a classical etude that went. Then Jess and I would play "Nothing Else Matters" from Metallica, and that went into Bottoms Up, and that was a really cool experience. And now I'm playing kind of an excerpt from the Concerto de Aranjuez, which is one of the most famous pieces for classical guitar and orchestra, and it's a little cadenza in there for solo guitar, and I play that, and it's really virtuosic and beautiful, and I think it leads really well into You Don't Know Her Like I Do, which is what I've been doing this year. So that's what I feel really fortunate about in the band.
All right, we're about out of time here, so if you don't mind, we'll do a couple quick hits, just quick answers,
sure.
Please. Best advice ever given?
Best advice ever given? Just to be a hard worker and don't lose sight of what you're passionate about. If your passion motivates you and you're able to work hard, then the opportunities are really endless. And that's been a great source of inspiration for me. And music has always been something I've been passionate about. And so working hard at it was never work. It was just enjoyment for me, and it has really paid off. And I'm glad I do what I do.
Most embarrassing songs on your iPod right now?
Ooh, I think I've really gotten rid of most of those. And if there is something on there, it's probably because I had to play a gig somewhere along the line that did that. So I don't know that I have one currently.
Okay. Do you ever write your own songs? If so, is that something you enjoy? If not, is it something you plan to do in the future?
I do. I write. Usually, I write instrumental tunes. That's just studying classical and jazz music, most of which is instrumental. That's kind of what I'm drawn to. So whenever I sit down and I write, a lot of times it is with that in mind. Now, I've got some good friends of mine that are great songwriters, and we get together and we'll do co-writes. And I've been very pleased with some of the stuff that we've written lately. And so I hope, and I've been fortunate to write a couple songs with Brantley, and maybe in the future some of those will make a cut. That would be wonderful.
Cool.
But it is something I'm passionate about, and I plan to continue. And I hope now that I'm back in Nashville, I'm able to do a little bit more on the songwriting side rather than the instrumental side. That's kind of more for my own personal projects rather than commercial.
Right. Hidden talents that you have?
I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but you might say master of none. I think most people don't see me as certainly don't appear to be a golfer, but
right.
Whenever I go play with people, they're sometimes surprised that I'm able to play the way I do. I was on the golf course as a young man with my dad, and it was something I pursued through high school, and so I kind of got really good at a lot of different things, or at least decent at a lot of different things. So I think it. Brantley at one point looked over at me and was like, "Man, is there anything you suck at?"
Well, you got a good Brantley voice.
Yeah.
All right. What are you most looking forward to on the Devil Don't Sleep tour?
It's just going to be another opportunity to get out and connect with fans, and I'm really looking forward to playing some new songs off the record. There's some really incredible music there, and so come January, we'll get back together and kind of decide what it is that we're going to be playing, and that I'm looking forward to doing some new tunes and just kind of growing with as Brantley puts out new music, and we're able to grow as a band and grow with our audience. That's what I'm really looking forward to next year.
Final question, Devil Don't Sleep album, we've heard a couple of their kind of party songs right now, but can you tell us a little bit more about the rest of the album?
Brantley writes records that are portraits of his life, and they're kind of, where he's been in certain chapters. And So this one, as he's out doing a radio tour now, so he can give you a lot more information than I can about it. But there's a great collection of material on there. It's not just party songs. There's, as with all of his records, there's some really deep, moving music on there, and a lot of the writers that he was able to collaborate with on this record, they came up with some really incredible stuff, and I got to sit and I got to play on some tunes, and then the stuff that I didn't play on, I was in the studio listening and watching how it went down, and it was just, it's incredible. So I'm really looking forward to having the audience check out the new record.
Well, we're all looking forward to it, too. BJ, thanks so much. Great interview.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Have a good rest of your break.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the new year.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.